FX JetBot has been trading in one of our funded accounts for the last 3 months, producing a small but steady profit. But the return isn't the main factor here. The drawdown is. I'll show you why that one number convinced me it was time to level up and why it's safe to do so. And I'm going to start by looking at the FX JetBot on the Algo trading space website. And if you haven't been here before, simply go to results and you can look at the live trading or the funded trading or the prop challenges. In this case, we are on the funded trading page and I've done a search for Jet and you'll see that here it is here. Looking at the track record, what we can see is that we have a fairly smooth balance and equity line and the account is growing. But the thing that I want to bring your attention to is the maximum floating loss or the maximum drawdown, and you can see that it is less than 1%, which is truly incredible. The profit in the account in the 3 months that we've traded it is about 2%, which equates to about 0.66% per month. But considering that the drawdown is less than 1%, that is absolutely fine, and I'm going to show you what the plan is with this EA moving forward. Before I do that though, we're going to look at the account tracker. Those of you who are not familiar, this is an in-house app that my Ren built from scratch. So we were having issues with FX Blue and my FX book in the past, so we decided to build something in-house and really customize it to our exact needs and our exact requirements. Now the account tracker is available to our VIP members, and if you would like to join the VIP club, there is a join button below the video, and the account tracker will in the future become part of a bigger suite that we will offer to the public. But looking at the results of the FX JetBot, we can see that exactly as you saw on the results page, we've got profit of 202 with a max drawdown of 0.99%, and the chart is of course identical. But let's take a closer look at some of the analytics in the account. Now the FX JetBot is actually suitable for 5 pairs. We're going to look at that a little bit later in the video when we look at the vendor page. But in this account, what you'll see is that we are trading only 2 currencies, and that is the dollar CAD and the euro pound. Now interestingly, you'll see that the exposure on the two is almost identical, but if we look at the closed trades, what you'll see is that virtually all of the trades except for this one here was on the dollar CAD. Only one was on the euro pound. So although the exposure is almost identical in terms of the profit that we've made in this account, it's actually only one euro pound trade and the rest are all dollar CAD. Looking at the entry lots, the dollar CAD has been set to trade with 0.05 as its first trade, and you'll see that there is no grid or martingale, so every subsequent trade is 0.05, and on the euro pound it's 0.06. But very interestingly, there is one trade here on the dollar CAD that is 0.26. Now because this is a forex store EA, we don't have access to all of the settings as you sometimes do with some of the EAs, but we've had something similar in the past. Now this is quite an interesting feature where after a number of consecutive losses, and in this case you can see that it's these two here, it will open up a much bigger recovery trade, and that's exactly what it's done here. So it's opened a much bigger trade, it's exited fairly quickly. So even though all of the entry lots are the same size, it seems that after a number of consecutive losses, in this case 2, it will open a single bigger trade to try and recover those losses, which is quite an interesting system. Okay, so next we're going to look at the platform. I'm going to show you the trades on the platform as well as the settings of the EA. But before I do, please check if you've subscribed to the channel. It's completely free. It helps us continue testing more EAs, filtering out the good ones so that you don't have to. Okay, so let's go onto our VPS to have a look at the platform, and as you saw, it's trading the euro pound and the dollar CAD. Okay, so if we take a look at the settings, there aren't a huge amount to select from, as I mentioned earlier in the video. So you've got the option to use auto risk, which is money management. We've selected not to use that, so we are trading with a starting lot of 0.06. Drawdown control is set to true, and the risk limit, which is here, this applies when you set the auto risk. So if you set this to true, you can set what you want the risk limit in the account to be. And then on the dollar CAD, pretty much exactly the same. The only difference here is that we have a slightly smaller lot size of 0.05 as our entry lots. Now let's take a look at the platform where we are running this. And as mentioned earlier in the video, it is on iFunds. And with iFunds, essentially how it works, it's an instant funding platform if you haven't heard about it before. So you can purchase a bigger account for a small amount of money. So in this case, for the 5K account, it is $400, or for the 10K account, it is $700. So by paying this amount or this amount, you get this amount to trade with. The nice thing with iFunds is that you can also set your preferred drawdown, and that will affect your profit split. So you saw that in this account, our max drawdown for the last 3 months was less than 1%. If we assume that it's going to continue that way and we want to increase our lots and scale up the account, what we can do is maybe change this and put this on about 7%, you'll see then we're getting 70% profit split. If you keep it on 10%, you're getting 50%, and there is a sliding scale that you can use. So if you're using an EA that has an exceptionally low drawdown, you can put it as low as 6%, and then you're going to get 80% of the profit splits. In our case, we always keep it at 10, even if we don't see such a big drawdown on the backtest or in our live trading results, because we're quite happy to get 50% of the profits and just keep our account a little bit safer. Now, the other big advantage with iFunds is that you get a static drawdown limit. So what that means is that, let's say in the case of the 10K account, a 10% static drawdown simply means that you have to at all times keep your account above 9K. So even if this account grows to 11 or 12K, as long as you keep your account above 9K, you're safe. So essentially, you start with a 10% drawdown limit, but in reality and effectively, what happens is as your account grows bigger, that drawdown threshold also grows with the account. So you get more and more space for that drawdown. Now, of course, if you're withdrawing profits regularly and you're keeping your account at the base level, in this case, again, 10K, then you will always have a 10% drawdown limit or thereabouts. And this brings me back to the beginning of the video where I said the plan with the CA is, now that we've seen that it is growing steadily and the drawdown is very small, we feel quite comfortable to increase the risk substantially, maybe double or triple the risk in the account, because if it continues the way it has been trading, we are still very safe within that drawdown limit. And that is how you scale a funded account, or any account for that matter, but that is how we scale our funded accounts. What we are doing is targeting a small percentage monthly with a low drawdown, and then as the account grows and that drawdown threshold grows with the account, it gives us the option to increase the risk in the account because we have more room available in case we go into a drawdown bigger than 10%. But there is also a setting in the FX JetBot that will allow us to limit the drawdown, and that'll keep us even safer. So if we go through the manual that you get with the EA, you can see that there is a section here that explains all of the various settings. And for drawdown control, it says that if true, the EA works as usual and limits a drawdown. If false, the EA removes stop losses from the last trade in the strategy and stops limiting a drawdown. So essentially what that means is that if you have this set to, let's say, 10, once it reaches 10% of a drawdown, it will close all of the trades. So that keeps your account a little bit safer. You can, of course, set that to lower, so you can set it to 5% or 6%, for example, to give yourself a little bit more of a buffer. But this setting will also help to protect your account and keep you trading for longer. Okay, let's have a look at the JetBot on the Forex Store website. Here it is here. You can see that there are a number of live trading accounts available to have a look at. The EA is $345. There is also a developer's website that we can visit here. And there's a little bit more information about the EA. So these are the same track records that you saw on the other website. But on this site, there is a lot more. And you'll see that, as I mentioned earlier, there are 5 currencies that it is suitable for: the Aussie dollar, the Euro yen, the Euro pound, the dollar CAD, and the Euro dollar. And again, here are some of the track records. And again, just some more information if you are interested. I will leave a link to it down below in the description so you can look at it in more detail if you choose to. And just one more thing that I want to show you is that we are not only trading this in a funded account. So you saw that in the funded account, we're trading it on Euro pound and on the dollar CAD, but we also have it in one of our live accounts. I'm going to go into our live trading results here. All right, and we'll do a search for it here as well. So here's the FX JetBot here. Now here we are trading it on a $1,000 live account. If we look at the track record, you'll see very similar to what we saw in the funded account. However, here we are trading it with a slightly higher risk and different currencies. Here we are getting about 1.3% a month, so still a little bit below the 2% that we aim for. But again, if you look at the max floating loss in this account, and this account has been going also since April, the max floating loss that we've had in this account is 2.66%, so under 3%. Really impressive. If we take a little bit of a closer look at the pairs that it is trading here, you'll see that here we are trading the Aussie dollar and the Euro pound. So in total, we are trading 3 of the 5 currencies that the EA was intended for. And in both of our accounts, both the live and the funded account, we've got a drawdown that is exceptionally low. So both accounts can be scaled up fairly comfortably. So overall, FX JetBot might not be the highest returning EA we've tested, but it's a great example of why consistency and risk management matter more than chasing big profits. There's a saying in trading: it's not how much you can make, but how much you can lose. Start small, scale up, and stay profitable for longer. I'll leave links to iFunds, the EA, and our results below the video if you'd like to give this a try. Before you go, check out this video where I showed you the results of a free EA I've been trading profitably for over 6 months. As always, thanks for watching, trade safe, and I'll see you soon.